good day. It's the Duchess of Yorkshire Pudding coming to you from far, far away to tell you some great stories today. Would you like to hear them? I am living actually in the Kingdom of Yorkshire Pudding. Many of you probably have not heard of it. And many of the people here have never heard of chocolate pudding. Can you imagine that? Till I came to town, they had no such thing. So today, I'm going to tell you a lovely story about how I made a difference with my chocolate pudding. Shall we? So, when I moved into the kingdom here, there was a dragon, as there are many dragons that wander about the countryside, but this particular dragon was very hungry, and he, like dragons do, swooped in and took our animals and took them bit by bit. Every night there was another one missing, and it was quite alarming to all of the townsfolk because they were losing all of their animals, and those animals are so important. So I decided that perhaps that dragon was just hungry. He needed to eat, and maybe there was no other food to be had. Maybe there was no other food in the countryside. So I thought about it, and I thought about how everyone here enjoys chocolate pudding, and thought maybe, just maybe, I might try giving some to the dragon. What a crazy idea, huh? Well, as time passed, I talked the cook into getting a very large bowl. We had to go to the metal shop and have them build us one because we had none that were big enough for a dragon. So they went about and they built us a great big bowl, and it was huge. It is a huge bowl. Did I mention that? Anyway, there's this great big huge bowl, and now we needed to fill it with pudding. So we needed to make an awful lot of pudding. So we did. We made tons and tons of pudding. So we needed lots of supplies, and all of the townsfolk joined in, and we made lots of pudding. And so we filled this great big bowl. And that night, I told all of the townsfolk, make sure all of your animals are locked up. Put them all in their pens. Make sure they're closed in their stables so that nothing can come near them. And we will take all of the food away from the dragon. He will have to keep searching and finding my pudding. So everyone went to bed that night, and I told everyone, stay in your houses, don't come out no matter what. So I, being the Duchess that I am, I set that big old bowl. Well, I had some help. A couple of my royal subjects came and helped me with that big bowl, and we set it on the stone near the castle. And here's this big huge bowl in the middle of a big patio that's made out of all the stone that we have put down. And then all I had to do was wait. I told everyone, stay in the castle. Don't give him any reason to grab a person instead, because we know this dragon's quite hungry. And I sat and I looked up at the stars, and there was a beautiful night, and the stars were sparkling, but particularly bright in the sky that night. And I heard a noise off in the distance. I heard this swooping sound, and it must have been his wings, and they just and I could hear it, and it was getting closer. And I looked, and all of a sudden in the sky, I could see this dragon, and he was flying and circling around the town. He was looking for animals. He circled the whole town, and he circled all of the farms he had been kidding, and all through the town, there were no animals to be had. He was getting very angry by that point. And so he kept coming further and further up the hill until at last he was circling the castle. And I could see him, and I got quite scared because this dragon is pretty large. And he came all the way around the castle, and he looked at me as he was flying by. And he'd look further and look for animals, and there was none to be had. So he came closer still, because he is a person. Well, the next best thing to an animal is a human, I guess. So he came nearby, and he landed not far from where I was. I was quite scared. He landed right there. He just set himself down almost gently, per se, and his wings folded up into his body. And he sat there and he looked at me with a little scowl on his face, and he snorted. And when he snorted, the steam came out of his nose. It was quite nasty, and it was quite scary. And it got very hot there because every bit of that steam is full of heat. Quite scary. And here's a big, huge bowl in front of me, and it's loaded with chocolate pudding. And there's the dragon on the other side of the bowl looking at me as if to say, "What are you here for?" And so I motioned to the bowl. And I said, "Oh, please, Mr. Dragon, here's a bowl. Please indulge. It is tasty. I am sure you will like it." And he looked at me, and he looked at the bowl, and he looked back at me, and he snorted again and shook his head. And he almost came around the bowl. I thought he was coming for me. And I tried to stay very, very calm. I was terrified, but I stayed very calm. And I motioned to the bowl again. And I said, look, it's pudding. It's for food." And so I looked to him, and I grabbed one little finger, and I dipped it into the bowl, and I put it on my tongue. And I said, "Oh, that's so good." And I looked at him and said it again. And he looked at me, and he looked at the bowl, and he looked at my finger, and he looked at me again. And then he snorted. He likes to snort. He's quite the weird sort. So he leaned down towards the bowl, and he sniffed at the pudding. And it was a foreign smell to him, I'm sure. And he looked up at me again with this angry look in his eyes, questioning me. And his tongue came out of his mouth, just a little, and took a little taste. And all of a sudden, these angry eyes opened wide. And he looked at me, and he perked up. He was all of a sudden happy. I think I saw a smile in the corners of his mouth. Can you imagine a dragon smiling? And he gulped up that entire bowl. He made quite a mess at it. There was pudding all over the stone. It was really gross. But he ate every last bit, and then he cleaned the stones with his tongue. Can you imagine? It was quite funny. And I sat there, and I looked at him, and I said, "You know what? You do not need animals anymore. I shall bring you pudding every night." And he looked at me, and he nodded. And then he got up, and his wings came out of the sides of his body, and he flew off. And so every night, well, not me personally, mind you, but my royal subjects came with the big bowl, and we put it out in the stones. And he would come by every night. And for an entire fortnight he did that before I said, I think that this dragon might be happy now. And we started letting the animals out little by little, and he never touched them. And we thought it was quite curious. During the day, this dragon, he would start patrolling the air around the castle. It was quite cool to see this dragon in the middle of the day. It was wonderful, actually, because anyone who might have thought that they could take the castle by war would never fight with the dragon. So this dragon was protecting us now. This dragon had decided that this was his home too, and all because of chocolate pudding. See, pudding saves the world. You need more pudding in your life. So, that's my story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I have many more. I might tell you the story of my journey from Lemon Drop Village out here to the Kingdom of Yorkshire Pudding. That is quite a story to tell as well. And I can tell you all about my little friend Sebastian that I met along the way. So that might be another story that I tell you today. Stay tuned. and I hope you have a wonderful day, friends. Good day!